Hello, and welcome to the Unlimit Podcast, brought to you by Bitcoin Unlimited. I'm John Moriarty, and today I'm joined by Jørgen, one of the Bitcoin Unlimited developers working on VotePeer. Jørgen, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me to the Bitcoin Unlimited podcast.
VotePeer lets you hold a vote using the Bitcoin Cash blockchain. Could you tell us why someone might want to do that? What are the advantages of making this platform available?
So our goal is to replace a voting system that uses a server, which with as much on-chain. We want it to be driven by on-chain things as much as possible. This is because it increases security, reliability, and transparency. For example, now Bitcoin Unlimited is using a very fine server system. The only problem is that it uses a server and it can be hacked, and it is a centralized point of failure for these very important elections that actually right now are not using on-chain transactions for distributing the Bitcoin Unlimited fund. This is kind of the motivation for the whole project.
Sure. And so short of, say, just being hacked generally, what makes using something without a centralized server more secure, more reliable? What is it that someone might sort of assume, like, oh, like that's why you don't want it on a central server?
So, for example, in Bitcoin Unlimited, it's my experience with it. The organization is that it's been very transparent, but you don't really meet people, and you don't really get to build that trust that you would have in a normal office setting, for example. And then in that case, I want to have more trust in that my vote has been counted, and that it can be counted, and that it is immutable, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
I want to trust the voting system.
So, like you mentioned, this was brought about for Bitcoin Unlimited because Bitcoin Unlimited had a need. Could you tell me anything else about the history of VotePeer? So who's working on it, and how did it come about in the first place?
Yeah, so initially in my experience with it was that I was looking for a part-time job with a master's degree in blockchain. And then I met Dagur, who's been with Bitcoin Unlimited and crypto in general for longer than I've been out of grad school. So he's kind of the magical wizard guy that I look up to and try to learn things from. At the start of 2020, Andrew Stone, he wrote a proposal to try to research and develop a solution for voting on chain, Bitcoin Unlimited proposal 129. And I was just doing random freelancing stuff on the side. And the story with me and Dagur is that we met at the Open Blockchain meetup in Trondheim, Norway. And after that, we moved into an office collective for nerds, which is where I sit now. And he looked at the proposal and saw that, okay, they needed someone who knows Android, which I was currently working with and had experience with. And they needed someone who knew how to write scientific papers. And I also had some experience with that. So then we kind of took on this project and realized that it was very hard, but it's been a nice challenge. And from the get-go, we've tried to, one, get votes on the blockchain, and two, make them anonymous, but still tallyable. So you should still be able to know that your vote can be counted, even if if nobody can know that you have voted in an anonymous election.
And so, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, the tool is available as it stands, at the moment, as an Android app, and you also interact with it through the web. And you mentioned
Yep.
anonymous voting. Now, that's not currently an implemented feature quite yet. Is that right?
No, that's not a feature right now. Right now, it's 100% transparent. And yes, it can be used. Just go to the website voter.cash. You can use a link there to download the app. And this is kind of one of the hard parts about developing this is that you are never logged into a Facebook account or anything like that. The whole login is your private key on your voting app that you use to log into the website. So you basically have a wallet on your phone, and you use that to scan the QR code on the website in front of you, and then you log into the website. That's kind of cool, actually.
Sure, that is neat. And just to clarify, it's not that, you scan it and then the next thing you do is log in. You log into the website by pointing your phone at the QR code on the screen of the website. Isn't that right? Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
So
and
could you tell us a little bit about...
won't even have to do that. I'm sorry. Most users won't even have to do that, because if you want to administrate and create elections, then you have to log into the website and do it there. But if you're just participating, you just get the notification and then you can make your choice.
Very good. Thank you. So could you describe a little bit about the decision to have the Android app and have that be the voter-facing interface, and then having the web interface for organization? Was it just easy to do that way? Was it was there something about the app or using a mobile platform that you thought was important?
This was actually decided in the description of the Bitcoin Unlimited proposal. The reason for having Android as the user-facing side was that it's the operating system for mobile with the most adoption. And this is not an Android phone, but I have 12 Android phones here. So that was kind of something that I stepped into already. And what was the other question?
Well, I guess that pretty much covers it. It's why you wanted to use mobile, and then maybe the reason for then also having the web interface.
Yeah, and the web interface, that's based on the use case that if you're administrating 20 to 3,000 public keys that are going to participate in an election, then it's very, what's the word? Not uncomfortable, but not
cumbersome,
unpractical.
Maybe.
To do it on a cumbersome, to do it on the website. Thanks. And now we have made features on the website where you can make groups. So, for example, if the CEO of Bitcoin Unlimited wants to make a group of all the members, he can do that, and just it's very practical in that sense. So you can just add group, create election, go, boom, everyone gets a push notification.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. It seems like the sort of thing that maybe you wouldn't want to mess around with on a small mobile interface.
No, and yeah, true.
So you talked about how it wasn't an easy problem to solve. It was not easy to implement. What were some of the difficulties in figuring out how to implement this? And also, then maybe could you talk a little bit about what the current difficulties are in implementing the anonymous voting?
So the difficulties has been using existing tools that are maybe meant to be general tools or maybe not that ready, and using them for maybe something that they haven't been used for before, and figuring out new things that you need to fix in the libraries that you use for the project. And as a result of that, we started helping on a lot of these libraries. So, for example, libBitcoin Cash Kotlin, which we are using for Android, has been a bit upgraded, and yeah, it's released now for everyone to use. So
very good. It's great to hear that.
Dependencies. That's the hard part. Yeah.
Sure, and it's great to hear that it's sort of a two-way process where you're also then able to contribute to the libraries that you need to use to build the tools you're building. So VotePeer, like we've already established, started and is being developed as a tool that Bitcoin Unlimited itself needs. But could you tell me, like, what other organizations could you see finding this tool useful? And even at like what scales do you think for what scales is it intended? Is this the sort of thing that could be used by governments for elections?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question because the paper, which is not ready yet, when we started writing the background for it, we were focusing a lot on national elections, and Norway has actually tried having online elections as a test in 2011. So we've been very much focused on that, and we were writing that before the remote elections in the US, and we're very excited, this could maybe fix something. But on the national level, I think we realized that it's a bit naive to think that an app on the smartphone or any electronic device can be trusted in the sense of a national election. So we kind of stepped away from that, and now we're moving into more Bitcoin Unlimited scale organizations with 30 to 50 members. And the interesting thing about the Bitcoin Unlimited use case is that it's online first. Everything is online first. You don't have to replace anything. It's just upgrading from having it on a server. So we've been having some like James Bond type guys who are working with another crypto project here at the Nerd Collective, and they've been working in Norwegian government before. So they are saying that if we can get it working, we could have a test project in Svalbard, which is it's kind of like a northern island that's used for research and such. And it has a very special local election that, for example, can be a use case with a couple of thousand people.
Very cool. Yeah, that's exciting to know that there's interest in testing it at that scale. Which is obviously still not as large as it would need to be for some of the larger government elections in the world, but it would definitely be a demonstration of the technology. So, has Bitcoin Unlimited started using VotePeer yet? Have you transitioned?
No, and I just want to add one more thing first.
Oh, sure.
Based on the Bitcoin Unlimited case, I think that things such as boards and where people own shares in companies vote for on general assemblies and such things could be a very interesting direction to move this project in, because it's not allowed to have a general assembly in Norway anyways, so you have to do it online. And bam, there we have our project. Perfect, right?
Sure. And the reason you're saying that that's perfect is because it's a smaller group of privileged voters. Is that basically what it is?
Yeah, it probably kind of comes down to is if someone wants to hack the election, they can, if they have enough money to hack so many phones at the same time. It's possible. It's WikiLeaks has shown that it's 0 days that all over the place. It's Swiss cheese with the security holes. We just don't. So we can't trust it in up into a certain level of risk. But when it comes to national election, the gain from tampering with it starts to be large enough that you can invest in hacks like this. But not
sure,
in maybe smaller cases.
Sure, and you just mean in it being smaller, it's maybe not. It wouldn't be profitable for a hacker to purchase $1 million 0-day exploit so that they could interfere with a local business's, board elections or something along those lines.
Yeah. For example. but yeah, the most interesting cases that if there is anyone that knows about a case that is similar to Bitcoin Unlimited, I would like to hear about it. But it's very unique. I think it's fascinating organization.
Sure. So before we wrap up, could you tell us again just about how people can give VotePeer a try or test it out? And actually, maybe as a follow-up question, so what is the current state of the project? Is it still alpha? Is it beta? How would you classify it?
I would classify the project as alpha right now. Maybe I would classify the website as beta / release candidate, and the Android app as alpha. There are a lot of things going on behind the scenes also, because we are launching the idea is that if you have a wallet, you can just add the library that we're making, and you can have elections from that wallet. So we're actually launching a module that anyone can import to use this in their Android app. You just import it, and then you get the full UI and functionality and everything. You just need to give it a private key.
Wow, that's exciting.
And on top of that, we are using and we're using that library inside our own VotePeer Android app right now to kind of like test it. And that Android app is in alpha right now with the library. And
Very
it can
cool.
be downloaded on the website, voter.cash. There is a link there. And there is a link to the Telegram group that we're using. There's like 15 people now. So any questions or comments, just come in and say hi. We're super interested to hear any feedback.
Great. So we may have already touched on anything, but before we finish up, is there anything else you wanted to talk about, or are there any other features or things going on behind the scenes that you'd like to let people know about VotePeer?
Ooh, not that I can think of right now. It's more about having all of the things I say now work properly, and that's a challenge in itself, especially with Android being so fragmented and built on mud, not stone.
See, well, we all appreciate your willingness to tackle what I'm sure is a beast of making this work on Android, and I'm excited to see it put to use in the situation that you've been describing. You know, maybe small scale situations where it's still valuable to be able to confirm independently, you know, that a vote was cast and counted, and of course eventually when anonymous votes are implemented, that I'm sure will also be particularly valuable.
That's actually to answer your last question a bit. The anonymous vote is not a given. In academia, I would call it an open research question.
Okay.
But there is a lot of interesting things that are being worked on there. So you have this Signal chat with Andrew Stone, the lead developer for Bitcoin Unlimited, and crypto experts from the university here in Trondheim, and some guy who used to sit over here who's just the smartest guy I know. And they are looking into ring signatures from Monero and a lot of possibilities to make this work.
Okay, well, so I appreciate you making that distinction.
Interesting, yeah.
Sure, and so that's something that I think is valuable to our viewers, to our listeners and viewers, which is that, you know, this tool, I guess, sort of is working in alpha as it's currently designed, and may end up with anonymous voting if it's a problem that can be solved.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. So our first draft of the paper, which is a part of this project, is with transparent voting. And we're not, we might do that in the same paper or another one. So yeah, it's the development part now. If you think about this as a research and development project, the development part is about pushing out a transparent smart contract and tools to use it with. And that's the development part, and the research part is creating some smart contract crypto system for anonymous voting. And we know how to do it.
Well, that's exciting, and I certainly wish you luck. Well, Jørgen, thank you very much for joining me on the podcast to talk about VotePeer. It's an exciting topic, and I wish you guys success.
Thanks a lot. I really appreciate the invitation, and I love, even though I said I was a bit nervous, I love being on the record, talking a bit. It's a nice kick. It's kind of like jumping from an airplane with the parachute.
Sure.
So now I'm going to be really excited for the for the coming days.
Great. Yeah, we appreciate your coming on. And to our viewers and listeners, thanks very much for tuning in to the Unlimit Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and look for the Unlimit Podcast on Spotify and other podcast distribution platforms.